Good morning, this is your Monday 707 and we are talking about value. So today we're going to touch on a couple of things very interesting. We'll talk about corruption, we're going to talk about value, we're going to talk about today and tomorrow. All right, this should be interesting. If you're an entrepreneur, listen in to this. I'm going to say something controversial about corruption and just hear me out. The biggest problem with corruption is not necessarily the theft of public goods. And this is purely from an economic perspective, not a moral perspective. The theft of public goods is not as bad economically to a country as the misuse of public goods. Okay? So the challenge with someone who's corrupt is they misuse the goods that they take away from public coffers. They misuse the goods that they take away from companies, because the whole premise of corruption is selfishness. Okay? So because this person is selfish and they're thinking about themselves, they're only thinking about what they can get for themselves. So what they do is, whenever someone is corrupt, they will misuse those goods. They will misappropriate those goods because they lack the infrastructure for proper management of resources. Corrupt people or corrupt activities or syndicates do not have the wisdom, the knowledge, the infrastructure of counsel. They do not have the structures for success. They do not have the planning. They do not have the bandwidth basically to deal with that wealth because they never planned for it. The whole reason why public goods are better utilized in the hands of a government with integrity is because they set up infrastructure that makes sure that they give value to the community. So when they are giving value to the community by having a plan, what we want to build, this is the infrastructure we want to put in, this is what we want to create for society, these are the roads we want to build, and so on and so forth. They are thinking about the community outside themselves. The corrupt person is not so, because the corrupt person is only thinking about themselves. They are thinking, probably I want to have two houses. I want a house in Lamu. I want a house in South Africa. I want another house in Los Angeles. I want a private helicopter. And so they'll come up with this whole basket of goods that they believe will satisfy them and make their life different. And probably it'll cost what? If you were to do the math, 300, 400 million. But when this person has an opportunity to steal, they don't steal that. They'll steal $1 billion. They'll steal 2 billion shillings. So what happens is they build companies, they build institutions that do not bring any value to society. An entrepreneur will always see beyond themselves. They will see the community, they see what that community needs, and then they bring that value to the community. They forge a dream that is bigger than themselves. And when they forge that dream that is bigger than themselves, because it's based on hundreds of people or thousands of people, that's their vision. Then they seek to find resources that can meet that vision. So they already know what they want to do with that money. They already know what they want to do with that portfolio of resources. So when they get those resources, they have a plan. They just plug those resources into that plan, and that plan benefits the community. If you're an entrepreneur, listen to this. Businesses are not built on your desire to get money. Businesses are built on your ability to provide value. Because when you provide value to the community, money will flow to you. So an entrepreneur is fully aware that they must see their customer. And they not only see their customer today, but they see the evolution of their customer, because customer satisfaction is a moving target. You do not say, I found the secret. I know exactly what my customer wants. And then you go to bed for 20 years. No. What your customer wants today is different from what your customer wants next year, and so on and so forth. Now, the corrupt person cannot see that. So even when they build a company, let's say a manufacturing company, with the proceeds from corruption, their need or their desire is so self-centered they will not be able to find the new value proposition for next week, for next year, for next decade, because they are focused on themselves. So the biggest problem with corruption is the short-termism, the myopia. That prevents them from being able to offer value to the community. So two things. The other problem with corruption is that this person not only just sees themselves, but they only see today. One of the skills of an entrepreneur is to be able to sacrifice today, or rather to use today properly so that they can gain tomorrow. What would you do if you're my friend, close friend, but I walked up and slapped your mother? What would you do if I slapped your mother? Definitely, we are not friends anymore, right? No matter what I do to you, if I disrespect your mother, I lose your respect, I lose your love. Now, today is tomorrow's mother. People who focus on today and misuse today will be disrespected by tomorrow. The way you treat your today will determine whether or not tomorrow is going to reward you. So, an entrepreneur looks at today and they put value in today because they know what they want is in tomorrow. So when they get into their future respects the sacrifices that they made today. And one of the big challenges we have in society right now is that a lot of young people don't learn the ability to see tomorrow. They've got this idea of, we only live once, you live today, very short-term thinking. And so this idea of having fun and having as much fun and having all the resources that you can have today and living for the moment is such a dangerous thing to society, because the true things that bring value to society require sacrifice today. We sacrifice ourselves and what we have today so that we can bring value tomorrow. Corrupt people are only thinking about gratification today, so they abuse today instead of using today. When you abuse today, tomorrow is going to revenge. So my challenge to you is, what value are you bringing? When you're building that company, when you're crafting your vision, are you thinking about the value that you're going to bring to society? Because when you're thinking society, you're thinking outside the box. You're thinking outside yourself. You're placing a demand that is far bigger than you, far bigger than your generation. And when you do that, what happens is resources that flow to you will also be far bigger than you. They'll be far bigger than what you want for yourself. And you'll be able to benefit a community. If you can benefit a community, then you can be successful for multiple generations to come, and not just your own. All right? So we're talking about corruption. We're talking about value. I think that's something that I felt that I would just wanted to share. All right. Thank you very much.